Liberal Currents presents Half the Answer with your hosts, Caitlin M. Green and Trent R. Nelson.
Well, happy days. Here again, and you know.
Don't say it, Trent. Don't say it. They're not.
Question is half an answer. Or is half the answer with your host, Trent R. Nelson and Caitlin M. Green. And well, I'm a historian and philosopher. I do a whole bunch of other stuff, but Caitlin, well, she's the real star here. She's a linguist and shared genius. Genius is not individual.
Yeah. Living that rock star linguist lifestyle.
Caitlin, you are the rock star. We have a lot of fun here chatting with so many marvelous people, getting such wonderful educations each and every week. Well, who do you have with us today? Who's here?
Oh, well, you know, it's going to be another one of those episodes where we're like looking under the rock and peeking at the creepy crawlies, and who better to help us look at and catalog those creepy crawlies than Jared Holt and Michael Edison Hayden. They are the hosts of Posting Through It, one of my favorite podcasts. Jared is a researcher for Open Measures, a company that makes research tools for people studying online extremism. Michael's an investigative reporter and author with a long history of covering the radical right, and his first book, Strange People on the Hill, comes out in April 2026.
Hey.
So we're all excited for that. Hi, guys. How are you?
Hey, doing well. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, nice to meet you guys.
Yeah. It's always good to connect with somebody that we admire for their research skills, because we have questions. I, of course, live in the Portland area. So my questions revolve around the people who are being weird about the place that I love and live in. And that includes our buddy Andy Ngo, but it's not just him. It's like a whole cloud of gross. So that's why we brought you on.
Yeah, I mean, it's really
excited.
like its own niche industry in right-wing media today.
Like
there are
Portland fear-mongering.
there are dozens of these people that, and you know, in every part of the country, there's these reactionary right-wing people who will run into any kind of social movement or protest movement and try to land themselves a spot on Fox News.
Yeah.
And there's about a dozen of them in your city right now, Caitlin.
There sure are.
You know,
They
getting
really love it here.
special escorts from the Trump administration and everything.
We talked about parenting earlier, and I don't know if you're like, what's the sequel to Cat in the Hat? There's like this Cat in the Hat Strikes Back.
The Cat in the Hat comes back, of course.
Comes back. Okay, it doesn't strike back. Okay.
No, it's not the Empire.
For the cat. Yeah.
It'd be a little surprising if the Cat in the Hat started striking, you know?
If he got his revenge on the family, like, oh, that fish in the bowl, man, he won't let
Give
me
me a
do
chance.
what I want.
Give me a chance to adapt it, and I'm doing that. But yeah, like, isn't there like a thing where like there's all these like annoying cats or something? Isn't there like annoying characters that like come in like with letters, and then they keep getting
Each
smaller?
one is in a hat, yeah.
And they're in a hat, and they keep coming out. Well, that's sort of like Andy Ngo is like the first one, and then there's all these like little ones that come, like the little clones that follow, and that's sort of
It's a
what's
perfect
happening
analogy.
to Portland. Yes, no, but if you read Cat in the Hat Strikes Back, yes.
But it's also, it would be like if the original Cat in the Hat like released all of these annoying cats and then left and never came back because he won't come back.
That's
so
true.
We'll talk about why that is, right? Like, honestly, I don't personally blame him for not wanting to come back to Portland. And we'll talk about why.
The Russian tchotchke dolls of Andy Ngo. Yeah,
they're just all here, and some of them are not able to string together a sentence, which I think is like, that's a key skill. I think if you're going to be like a right-wing streamer, is to at least be able to finish a sentence. I think that's key. But I found with Katie Davis Court, that's not really on the that's not in the cards for her. It's to like Oh, okay. So let's set the scene, because yesterday was, what day was it? October 8th. And the White House hosted a bunch of these small cats in their various hats, plus Andy Ngo, the OG Cat in the Hat, at this like roundtable event where their job was to kind of inform Mr. President about the Antifa menace that is plaguing this country. And so actually one of the first people that he pointed to was Andy, right? And he was like, he tried to read a description, I think, of Andy, but he bailed immediately. He was like, Andy Ngo is a journalist who he's a really serious person, and I've admired him for a long time. And then he looks around the room completely blankly, and he's like, Andy, are you here? Where are you, Andy? And then Andy like raises his hand. He's like, ah, yes, I thought that was you. And so to me, I feel like he forgot who Andy is.
Well, forgot, but I mean, did he ever care or
Right.
or no? And
Right.
also the other thing we should address before we talk about whatever Andy said is the fact that Trump seemed to be falling asleep while Andy was telling his harrowing tale with Portland Antifa.
I mean, me too, to
Yeah.
be fair, but
He's a
I've
really
also heard it
boring
about 300
speaker.
times.
yeah.
Right. This version was not like fundamentally different from any other time he's told the story. He's got it kind of down, right? It's like it sounds the
course.
same each time. I think Trump was falling asleep and then he kind of woke up when he heard about getting choked out. I don't know, like something activated in him and he was like, one of my keywords. And so then he turns to Andy and he's like, oh, that was really hard, huh? Getting choked out. Did you feel like the end was coming? And that was perfect. So we have a video. We can actually play it if I would make my thing work. Okay. So yeah, this is the moment after Andy finished talking.
Andy Ngo has been repeatedly beaten by Antifa thugs for his work in Andy is a very serious person too, I have to tell you. I've been watching him for a long time. Is Andy here? That's what I thought. Hello, Andy. I thought that was you.
Great.
He doesn't know. So then Andy tells his story, and this is about an event in Portland where he was all masked up, right, at this protest, and somebody pulled his mask down and were like, I knew it, it's Andy Ngo. And then he got chased down a few blocks into a hotel lobby, and they kind of kept the people out and kept Andy in, and he was escorted through the back. So he was able to escape, but I mean, it's fairly harrowing. So yeah, this was a wild event yesterday. It was Jack Posobiec, it was Andy Ngo, it was Katie Davis Court, it was Nick Sorter, who was recently arrested in Portland, but I think they ended up clearing him, so he's not going to face charges over his behavior at the ICE facility in Portland. But Jack Posobiec was the one who really succinctly summarized what Antifa was. I don't know if you guys saw that, but I'm going to play the clip really.
Yeah.
Mr. President, thank you so much for having us here today and holding this roundtable. Antifa is real. Antifa has been around in various iterations for almost 100 years in some instances, going back to the Weimar Republic in Germany.
I mean, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
No, he's not wrong.
He just thinks it's bad, you know.
Yeah.
I really need to know what goes on in the mind of somebody who announces that and doesn't decide to describe what else was happening in Germany at that time.
Right. I feel like the
Who
goose
is
meme.
fighting
I'm the goose
exactly?
meme, right? Like,
Yeah.
who were they against?
The average
Yeah.
Fox
So-
News rando who hears that is even that person, I think, has some idea that, like, wait a second, weren't there Nazis at that time?
Well, the average Fox News viewer was probably fucking alive, dude. When
That's also true.
Fair, very fair. Well, yeah, like what is he trying to say exactly? Well, you don't have to really scratch your head for too long because this is a guy who likes to like tweet the numbers 14 and 88 for fun. You know, this is the guy who did like the Pizzagate conspiracy theory. Like he's not exactly undercover. Anyway, I was of course interested in Andy Ngo specifically because he's the biggest cat in the hat of the Cat in the Hat sequence. And I wanted to kind of see like what his MO is and like how he got his start. Because for me as a Portland resident, it's not like immediately I just know him as like, oh, he's that guy, you know, the guy, he like edits clips and he makes people look bad and he like gets in scuffles and goes on TV about it, and like that's true, but he had a start, right? So I made a list of like things that have happened and I just called it like incidents because it's like it is just a string of incidents. So I know you guys covered this a little bit on your podcast when you talked to Chris Mathias, who we also talked to. So thanks for scooping us. I
Posted
guess
through. It's the most trusted name in
you
news
guys
for
were
a
just a
reason.
little
you know?
quicker. Yeah. Is he?
Yeah.
Was that trusted or targeted?
Both.
One of the two.
Targeted for being trusted.
Yeah.
Hated for speaking truth, or
Yeah,
whatever.
right.
Yeah. What did all the
tagline was.
conservatives say? The silenced for truth.
Yes,
That'll be-
it's Laura
Yeah.
Loomer, I believe.
He
It's
was-
like
yeah.
hated for speaking truth.
He was censored for simply telling the truth. And that is actually kind of the first thing that I know about Andy, is that in 2017, when he was a grad student at Portland State, he was the like video, the like media, mixed media video editor or whatever for the Vanguard, which was a student newspaper. And he got in trouble for misleadingly editing a clip of a Muslim student like describing their attitude towards non-believers. And then he wrote in the National Review an op-ed titled "Fired for Reporting the Truth."
Yeah.
So there we go. It took zero time.
Well, it's an important origin story to flag, because Andy never really changed after that. I mean, the material changed.
Right.
The scale of his audience, grew. I mean, it became bigger. But that sort of basic thing of just kind of taking something and clipping it in such a way as to present a narrative that was beneficial to the right, in some cases the radical right, was just basically all he has done. And right up until this, what's it called? Right up until this roundtable.
Yeah. Is it a round table? It's I that's what
Doesn't
I kept
matter.
calling it.
That's what they were
because
calling
they're
it.
in a round.
It's
Yeah.
really more like a U shape, but
Yes.
Yeah. With corners. It's just tables in a square.
Yeah.
So yeah. But it's a round table because the greatest minds of Western civilization have collected, to summarize this great threat. So yeah, he wrote "Fired for reporting the truth." He was really mad. He said, "Simply tweeting video of a Muslim student characterizing his religion on an interfaith panel cost me my job." And then he said, "The editor claimed I had violated the paper's ethical standards by not minimizing harm." And I really like that he put that in quotes, because I was like, clearly he is mad about the phrase minimizing harm. And I'm not a journalist, but some of you people are. And that's like a main pillar in journalistic ethics, is minimizing harm, which is to say that like it's your job to make sure while you're reporting the truth that you're not like unduly putting people in danger. I guess he doesn't like that one.
Well, he'll put whatever he doesn't like into quotes. He still does that, about civil rights and quotes. Like, I mean,
yeah.
anything.
He'll write about people, like me. They'll put like researcher, quote unquote, Jared Holt. It's like, what do you mean? I am a researcher. I've been a researcher.
You have
reporter for a
pretensions to
decade.
doing research.
And unlike Andy, I've published at places people have heard about, like, but yeah, I mean, I think Andy's origin story is really, like Mike said, important, because up until then, Andy had just kind of been, I've seen some reporting on his like old Reddit account and stuff, just kind of this milling student, sort of interested in like the new atheist movement online, but really didn't seem to have much going for himself. He's on the student paper. He's thinking, I'm going to do media. And then when he does what he does, he posts this misleading clip that results in a ton of hate and targeting of one of his fellow students. He is catapulted into overnight success. And I also went to school for journalism, graduated before Andy, I guess, but it's tough, man. It's a tough job market, getting tougher. And I'm sure he understood what those prospects look like. So to have, almost a overnight celeb experience just for doing this, and then being able to pivot and be like, oh, I'm getting in trouble because I told the truth about Islam or whatever. It's,
right.
that had to, this was somebody who didn't seem to really know what they were doing, and all of a sudden, like, was plugged into this very well-oiled, well-money
Right.
reward and incentive structure that exists in right-wing media.
Yeah, and so big shout out to National Review, right, for publishing the op-ed, and Breitbart also for like for publicizing his tweet, which is what this started as. He didn't even put it in the Vanguard. He put it on Twitter. Uh, he like badly summarized the statement of the student, and then later on people were like, "What is this video? What?" And he was like, "Okay, here's the video," and then he put the video up. And then it was Breitbart who was like, "Muslim student says crazy thing." More later, and there's no more. There's not more later.
Of course not.
No. So yeah, it feels like his beat at this point is really like anti-Islam stuff. And he writes this op-ed in the Wall Street Journal called "A Visit to Islamic England" in 2019, where
I should just add he does take a selfie of himself apparently with a hijab on. I don't know if you have that one, but
I don't have that. Oh my god! Like
that's a deep cut.
As many wacko things as I've got in this document, like there's just like a whole iceberg of more. Of course he did that. Sure. So he goes to London, and like he starts off this thing by being like, well, when I was a teenager in 2006, one time I saw a lady in a niqab in London, and that really freaked me out. And like, that's like, okay, I don't know what to do with that. Like, you saw a lady in a niqab, like me too. I've seen them.
Same.
I grew up in Phoenix, Arizona. We have a good amount of Muslim people living there. I've seen it. It's an outfit you can wear.
Yeah.
He's not into it. So he went to this neighborhood in London that's 38% Muslim, and he essentially just did like, wow, look at that kind of stuff, where he was like, no, I saw this. This looked really Muslim. Look at these things. These are pretty Muslim. And like that's his whole this whole op-ed. And at one point he said, oh my gosh, look at all these like no alcohol zones. Like there's signs that say you can't have alcohol. And they eventually had to put a correction in there to be like, actually, that's just like a thing that they have in London, is that like there's neighborhoods where they're like, you can't be drinking open containers here because that's a normal rule.
There's also something contemptuous, like for me, like, you know, is somebody who comes from a family of immigrants like that and then does that. I mean, I obviously I come from a family of immigrants on my mother's side. It's just, you know, it really is one of the cheapest roads you can sort of take when you're kind of assimilating in your own country, right? To just find another group to make, you know, the targeted group.
And it's also just kind of rich to be like such a Anglophile, right? Just so hyper obsessed with like Anglo, UK, London, whatever. And then to like be so out of touch with that place that you mistake a common street sign in London as like
to be like
a sign of the Muslim takeover.
Right. No, that's just a sign of being in England.
It's also a great demonstration of Andy's journalistic chops, of which there are none, minimal.
Yeah.
Where even when he gets a chance to write in a place like the Wall Street Journal, he barely tries. You know, it seems like they just let him buy a plane ticket to London and like took a little vacay. I don't know.
Right. He's got, did they actually, the other thing I noticed was he was like, I went to a mosque and they said you have to dress modestly. And I was like, yeah, I went to Italy in college for like study abroad, and we had to dress modestly to go into the churches. Like that's kind of what happens. They told us ahead of time, they're like, bring a scarf you can throw over your shoulders before you go into any of the churches. So we did do that.
He's just on the like validating people's biases beat, which I guess you don't need to have any, like, as you noted, Jared, chops for. You just go and you just say like, yeah, it was scary, and the Muslims, they're as scary as you think, and they're doing the things that you have in your brain, having never met them. And here it is. And there's a sect of people that eat it up each and every time, no matter how embarrassing it seems.
Yeah, you'd think he'd be embarrassed, but I don't think he has the capacity for shame, because like all attention is good attention, basically.
Yeah, I mean, he's very self-conscious. Mike and I have both interacted with him privately. Um, but something public, something self-conscious, like he's very image conscious, right? He gets obsessed over people that report on him, including Mike and myself and many others. People that do reporting on the far right that sort of jeopardizes his project. And also in a very vain sense. I mean, Andy has lost a lot of weight, appears to have had plastic surgery and stuff. It's just it's very kind of bizarre cat as a person too.
Well, didn't he have
And
like early forum messages where he was, complaining about it? Like there was a lot of self-loathing apparently in those like early atheism things, if I recall the reporting correctly. So
yeah, it's it seems like he had like some kind of body image issues, which is a hard thing to deal with. I don't want to like fault him on that specifically.
a lot of people with body image issues don't necessarily go out and scapegoat Muslims or, as we'll probably get into, black people.
Those are separate problems.
Yeah, but I only say that again just to like go back to the point of Andy was somebody who seemed like, when he got started doing this, he was maybe a little bit lost in his life and unhappy. And this was, when he started doing this and got his first taste of the right-wing money machine that surrounds that media ecosystem, he just went full tilt into it and continues to today.
They have a way of love bombing you, making you feel like a hero, making you feel like, so special. And he definitely ate that right up with a spoon. Are we ready for May Day? Do we think we can do that one? I think, is that the cider riot one, or is that a different one? I'm always mixing these things up. That is cider riot, right? Is May 1st, 2019.
I believe it is. Yes.
Yeah. 2019 was the cider riot thing. Yeah.
Okay, so this is an event where there was a protest happening. Patriot Prayer, which is like a far right, pretty small but like very active and violent group, were there, but it wasn't very fun because they couldn't get in any fights. And so then they wandered over to like the side of the highway to wave flags at people for a while. And then somebody heard that the leader, Joey Gibson, was headed to Cider Riot to see if he could get in some trouble over there. And so all the Patriot Prayer guys like rush over there. Joey Gibson isn't even there. They have to wait around on the curb for like 20 minutes. And so they're just standing around discussing like how much they're going to give it to Antifa. And like a lady's got a brick and another guy's got a bat, and like they're just waiting. And Andy is there. He's been alongside Patriot Prayer the whole time.
Reporting.
Reporting. Right. But he wasn't like filming. Like these guys are actively talking about
I'm being facetious just because he was.
No, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's just standing there looking at Twitter. He said he was like, yeah, I was just looking at Twitter.
Yeah. For all this time he spent, quote unquote, reporting on the radical right, I can't recall a single story Andy has ever published on it.
No, he's been embedded with them so long he's still there. Right. He's never coming out. So yeah, he's like standing there just like on his phone while these guys are discussing the fight that they're about to try to get into. And so he's like clearly in earshot of the whole conversation, does nothing. It turns out there's another guy there who was pretending to be part of Patriot Prayer, who was doing it to get dirt on them. And so he's got a video of all of this happening, which I watched. It was 18 minutes of a lot of bullshitting, but it was definitely Patriot Prayer being like, we're going to do a fight and we're going to beat some people up. And so they do that, right? Like, but this embedded guy has tipped off the people inside Cider Riot that these guys are coming. And so they're outside and ready, as opposed to being inside and dining. Which I guess I think I prefer it that way, right? Like, I don't know. Seems nicer. Those poor other diners and Cider Riot, right? They ended up suing Joey, right, for disrupting the peace. And what did Andy do? He just sort of like jumped around like a little guy with his phone. He found a lady who got decked and was unconscious, and he like filmed her, and he was like, look at her, and he put out her name and everything.
That's right. Yeah, that part of it. He would when sort of reporting on these clashes. Not only would he be sort of embedded on the far right side, but he would use the opportunities to try to get as much information, private information about people on the left as possible out there, regardless of what could happen to them. And I think Andy really knew the type of people he was dealing with and what could happen to them by doing that. So
Yeah.
he really made a big thing of it. There were a lot of there's a lot of reporting in your local paper about people whose lives were completely upended by Andy knows. I mean, again, not journalism. These were sometimes tweets just layered with information about somebody, and then they would sustain like 2-3 weeks of harassment and abuse from Patriot Prayer and the Proud Boys.
Yeah. So Willamette Weekly or Willamette Week is great for this because they have a whole article full of people that say, I got arrested for something like disorderly conduct at a protest. Then my mugshot was available and Andy tweeted it out to everybody with my full name and as much information about like my whereabouts as he could get. And then just like a whole bunch of Proud Boys showed up to my door. That kind of story is fairly regular. It's his MO essentially.
Yeah.
So May Day, he said he got like bear spray or mace or something in his eyes, but otherwise I think he came out fairly unscathed. Unlike June 2019, which is the milkshaking.
A day that will live in infamy.
Right. So like before that date, there was a group, Popular Mobilization, who like established this as like milkshakes are the theme of this event. Do you know like why that was? Why milkshakes? Was it already a thing that we throw milkshakes at matches?
I want to say somewhere in Europe there was a far right politician.
That's right. Yeah,
it might have been Nigel Farage, and
Yes,
and
Nigel Farage
also
was
he was
out
Jared
in,
Carl Benjamin.
Yeah,
also,
he was
also
out in public, and it was just some viral video clip where some guy who saw him on the street was like, "Hey, fuck you," and just threw his milkshake and like dumped it all over Nigel Farage, and it was just, I think a lot of people thought it was funny. It's the classic, throwing rotten fruit at people, like
or the pies
kind of humor.
It's reminiscent of like the cream pies, like that Phyllis Schlafly got hit with and stuff like that.
That's right.
Yeah, so it got picked up, for
it's
a
a
time
proud tradition
in protest movement groups around the world. Got a kick out of it and replicated it in some cases.
When they were making they were making like vegan milkshakes, they had like special people come in because like, well, if this is the flavor of the protest, well, we have all these people who make their own, artisanal this or that, right? So of course, because it's Portland, and there were some probably very very tasty milkshakes available at this thing.
Oh yeah, lots of people sipping on those. They had a big table and they were just handing them out, just like little paper cups of these milkshakes. And the Popular Mobilization like video about it was, it said on June 29th, alt-right jerks are coming back to Portland to manufacture footage they can carefully edit to make themselves look tough on YouTube. There are merely dozens of them. There are thousands of us. In the spirit of Stonewall's 50th anniversary, let's show up and celebrate our community. Fight bigotry with laughter. Fight bigotry with courage. Fight bigotry with solidarity. Fight bigotry with dance. Milkshake. Shake back the streets. And it played, "My milkshake brings all the boys to the yard," which that's the second time I've sung that song on this podcast. And I think that's indicative of a really terrible trend in our whatever universe we ended up in. That's bad.
Well, one more time and you're going to wake up and like you'll look at the podcast players and stuff, and you'll have like it'll be renamed Milkshake the
Yeah,
podcast.
it's gonna be the Milkshake podcast. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, we talked about the Gap Jeans ad that has that song, and now we're doing this. So yeah, I guess I can't escape the milkshake. Just like Andy, I can't escape the milkshake. And so he was like, he posted about this, and he was like, clearly this is like a threat to me personally, that they're handing out milkshakes at this thing.
Yeah, there was this whole hoax. From what I could tell, I don't know that this was ever true anywhere.
No.
That some of the milkshakes had concrete mix in it,
Yeah,
which
good cement, right?
which can cause like pretty serious damage to your skin.
Yeah.
But that was, I mean, it's the same thing as the like busloads of Antifa coming to the town square, or like
Right.
around Black Lives Matter protests. Remember when conservatives would post like photos of bricks at nearby construction sites and be like, clearly the Jews have left this out. Which pardon my French, my brain is cooked by this shit, but like it's
okay.
Same vein. I also think like the fact
Right.
that was going around, really postured up Andy to,
Well, they knew people would believe it,
capitalize.
Jared. That's the thing. It's they knew that if you start saying things enough, they would believe it, and it also wastes a lot of time of the opposition trying to prove like actually no, there was no concrete in the milkshakes because we were giving them out to our own people.
We were drinking.
Right?
Right.
We
And,
were
like,
trying
people
not
were
to
taking
poison
drinks of them.
If
and
that
be
was
tried for murder.
if
Like
that-
what dies after they drink a concrete milkshake.
if that was true, that protest would have been like a Jonestown level event. because
Right.
Right.
Everyone would have drank.
As far
these-
as I know, 0 people died at that protest, and that's
But
pretty good
again,
evidence that there was no concrete in the milkshake.
what kind of followers do you have to have that you can be like, yeah, the Jews left these bricks out, the Masons left these bricks out, bro? Like, this is simple stuff. Let's not overcook
Well, there's
it.
no alcohol signs on the streets because the Muslims took over, because the Great Replacement is true. It just I see a thing and I go, whoa, and that's my journalism.
See, I remember a London, where you could be absolutely plastered at 10 a.m. on the street and enter the church in your assless chaps. And that's me and Andy agree on that. That's the Western
I wanna go
civilization
back.
we're fighting for.
Return to that. Remember what they took from you.
Right.
Right. So on that day, Andy had a reporter from BuzzFeed News and somebody from the Federalist with him. And so they had a lot to say about what happened that day. And the lady from the Federalist was like, they could have had quick dry cement in their pockets and put it in right before throwing it, but I simply did not see that happen. So even the Federalist can't back up the quick dry cement thing. She seemed to want to try, but she couldn't get it.
So close.
That's the best you'll get out of them too, because that they wanted to say that it was there, but they're like, ugh. I don't know. Could be, but I just didn't see it.
Yeah, they're like, oh man, if we go too hard on this stuff, Brett Kavanaugh is going to stop reading us.
But but Andy at this event, Andy was doing his usual thing, right? He was buzzing around between one left-leaning person and another, filming them, put a camera in their face, doing things to try to, I think they're whatever, there's some kind of sign up for something, trying to get their names in visible on camera in his live stream.
Yeah. That's the wildest thing is any of these petitions or signups that he would try to get the names of people who just signed something.
Yeah. And he and people had thrown some of these milkshakes on Andy at this point, right? They got that, I mean, I don't know exactly which park or whatever. I haven't been to Portland in a minute, but they were, he was walking around, people were dumping milkshake on him. And at that time, I remember very vividly all of us being Jared, me, your previous guest, Chris Mathias, a bunch of other people were in a group chat laughing about the milkshakes, right? Because Andy was like, look at my bag. Look at what they've done to me. And it would look like a bird had taken a shit on his bag. It looked like there was just a big, it looked like bird poop. because the milkshake was vanilla, and so it
Right.
just like was like a smear down on his bag, and just sort of
It was
like, oh
just
my
like
god,
droplets. Yeah.
look at him try to nurse this for sympathy. But
Right.
then things took a turn.
Yeah,
Right.
then somebody actually, clocked him pretty
Yeah.
good and beat him up pretty good. And I I I think milkshakes are funny. I don't think
Milkshakes
that's
are funny.
funny. I
No.
don't think that
No.
because I'm not one of these monsters, right? I don't like to see my fellow humans, as noxious as they may be, getting,
Yeah.
I'm anti-violence big
Yeah.
time, but
So I watched this video a few times, and one thing that really struck me is knowing that he provided his medical records to the BuzzFeed reporter after he gave them his discharge papers, and he had a brain bleed after this, and he had like a bunch of other injuries. And watching the video, it looks like nothing happened almost. Like it truly, like I saw somebody punch him, but I couldn't really tell where. It was like shoulder or face, and I saw some people kick his thighs, and then other than that, it was mostly silly string. And like it just like it reminds me to keep in mind that something can look like not much in video when to the person that it's happening to, it's actually really bad.
Well,
So
as far as I
Right.
recall, there was like a time in which some of the leftists had circled, and and then the camera was not able to pick up on exactly what had happened to him. That's the way I recall it. Of course, in the lead up to this, again, not to victim blame necessarily, but I think it's important to establish that Andy was. You had a whole bunch of people saying to him, you're going to get your ass kicked,
yeah.
etc., repeatedly. And he repeatedly took his camera, put it in their face over and over
Right in
again,
the faces.
which
Yeah.
is something we see with the current Portland protests, is just a tactic where, one of these people will eventually pop me in the face if I
Right.
continue to irritate, like just to push it until you get a reaction that engenders sympathy.
because it's not, and to expand on that, like Mike, I'm not trying to victim blame here, but you have to, be realistic, and this is the calculation Andy and so many of his, I guess, proteges now do, which is it's not just being annoying on the ground and getting up in people's faces, shoving a camera in their faces. It's then taking the footage from that camera, going online, and claiming that the person that they're filming is a terrorist.
Yes.
Which especially during the first Trump administration, and God knows now, has such serious implications, even beyond the harassment and the hate, which there was plenty of. His fans were vicious. They have come for me. They've come for Mike. They've come for so many people we know. Like, he is putting people in danger, and it is unthinkable to me that he is not absolutely aware of that. He just thinks they deserve it for some reason.
I just think it's important to emphasize that, because his telling of events in front of Trump was like, where he's like, they beat me, they hit me, they blinded me. I mean, it's like that's all. It's just a list of they humiliated me. It's just like one thing over and over again is the way he tells the story. Cuts out any context about what he was doing there,
Right.
how he had behaved previously, what he was doing in the run up to the attack.
Right.
They mention it as if he had written some reports, about Portland that they didn't like, and then they went to his house, dragged him outside, and started to wail on him. Right, when in reality,
Right.
it looked like at the protest from his live stream, it looked like Noah was going, essentially door to door, person to person, trying to see who might actually react in an extreme way. So that's what happened.
He was shopping for somebody to humiliate him.
Yeah. And the other thing that I noticed in the same video is that there were some people who I think would have liked to continue hurting him, who were lunging at him and they had their fists out. And then other, black clad Antifa terrorists were holding them back. So somebody there maybe saved him. But he never has any gratitude for that guy, or those, actually there's a couple of guys who were like helping keep people from doing more harm to this guy's body.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, as we talked about on our episode, "What the hell is Antifa?" that had Chris Mathias on it. In anti-fascist, anarchist, leftist, counter-organizing circles, the buy-in for violent pushback on far-right figures is there is not consensus. It is constantly debated. People are pushed out of organizing spaces if they're too into it. It's just like such a big spectrum. So yeah, it's like Andy likes to talk about anti-fascists categorically as this organized radical group, which it is not, but
No.
also completely knowingly glosses over the seemingly infinite shades of rationale, philosophy, even political beliefs in these movements, right?
Yeah.
So it's the death. He flattens the issue, I think, is like a key thing that he does, because if he entertains or even acknowledges the nuances, it becomes very clear that his whole shtick is like imagined in his head.
Yeah. I think he wants to always kind of minimize his own contribution to the tensions of a situation and maximize other people's. I also know that, like, in Portland, there are several organizations that run de-escalation trainings, because that is a thing that there's a real market for. So people who are planning to go protest, a lot of them will go to these trainings and share what they learned with their friends. And it really plays out that way when you're actually on the ground. You see some kind of like thing starting to happen. A bunch of people run in and go, do not react. Like, don't give them what they want. They will put their bodies in between the people who are having an issue. And they really do what they can, to de-escalate. It's not always possible, but
yeah, because when a protest escalates, it puts
humans.
everybody in danger.
Yeah.
Like from police response, from counter protesters, it makes the environment wildly unsafe, right? So it's any major protest like this has people typically involved that are specifically watching for this stuff, right? So, but Andy would never tell you that.
He also claimed that the police were instructed by the mayor to like not police. They were like, he was like, oh yeah, he told them that they couldn't like do any arrests or anything of Antifa. And that just came out of nowhere. I don't know.
Well, but that's still going on now, where they're trying
Yeah.
to make the Portland police out to be like another, like a sister project to Black Bloc,
Yeah.
where
They
they're
called
sort
our
of
chief
like,
of police Antifa. They said he was Antifa.
That's
Yeah, I
so
mean-
that's so awesome. I've covered protests in Portland, around 2019, and I got roughed up a little bit. And you know who roughed me up was the cops.
yeah.
I was a reporter. I had a camera in my hand. I was clearly a reporter with a press badge and
Yeah.
everything, and they fucking shot a flashbang grenade.
Well, we're
God.
talking about this in the context of the roundtable, and I think it's just important to keep highlighting, because it is going to be the recurring theme of all this, is that these people will believe fucking anything. So they're able to just tell them, no, it's true. I mean, Jack Posobiec at that roundtable is saying that Luigi Mangione is Antifa, right? Even though he was into kind of sort of reactionary thing. I mean, like anything that they want to say, they can just sort of say. So saying that the Portland police are Antifa is something that they say because the absolute disintegration of media standards on the right has enabled this culture in which you can say, well, the Portland police are Antifa, and then at least most of your people will believe it because they're just, they understand everything to be part of a talking point or a narrative that they're supposed to put forward going forward. Just, it's a story that they're supposed to tell rather than something based in the truth.
Right. And everything's Antifa, right? Like, I got stuck at a red light for too long. That's Antifa. The barista gave me my coffee. It was too hot because she's Antifa. Like, it's all Antifa. It's just easy. Well, good for Andy because he did get over $200,000 in his crowdfund after he got beat up. So hopefully that helped ease some of the pain.
And he got a very, I'm sure, lucrative career ever since then. You know,
Right. He got to go on Fox. That's something people have heard of. So that's
yeah,
a step up, I think.
yeah. Jake
And he
Tapper had
said,
him on CNN after he got
Yeah.
clocked. You know,
"Oh, Jake."
He did a whirlwind tour when he still had the markings on his face.
Yeah. Which, like, speaking of the round table, this time it's Katie Davis Court, who works for him for the Post Millennial.
Just want to interject off jump, right? Like I believe a woman hit her with an umbrella by accident or on purpose. I don't know whether it was.
I
It's
believe,
impossible to tell, by the way, whether
yeah,
in those type of situations what was right because people move. Maybe they move
yeah,
aggressively with something, but they're not trying to hit. I mean, you don't know, right? But
right. I
she got hit
think
with
it
an
was a
umbrella.
flag. I
A
believe it was a
flag?
flag.
Okay.
Yeah, a Palestinian flag to make it
Oh,
worse.
that's right.
So-
That's right. It was a Palestinian flag. I'm sorry. I was conflating that.
Nick
Nick
Sorter
Sorter got hit with an
is
umbrella.
the
And it's
yeah.
like, yeah, I just want to
Because
say
they were using umbrellas, they opened them to like block a person from, yeah, they were like trying to move him away with the umbrella.
Katie Daviscourt has been appearing with different sizes of black eye and or without since this happened. Like,
Oh
there's
no, are
just
you
like,
a black eye truther?
oh, like I mean, I feel like this is one of those situations where if I believe the truth, I would be a sheep. I would believe or believe what was being presented. I have to be Alex Jones on this. Like, y'all see that? Y'all see what I saw with Katie Daviscourt?
No, it's
Something's
not.
not right with that eye.
Listen,
You're
I
coming on to do all of our Alex Jones impressions. Absolutely.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
because before this it was me. I was doing the Alex Jones impressions and it's not convincing. She has been taking every opportunity while she still has the markings or, you know, the energy to continue applying them, whatever the case may be, that she's getting herself on camera as much as she can.
I think it's there, but she's maybe emphasizing it with some makeup. Is my
Yeah, I think the way that it was at the round table yesterday, it doesn't make a lot of sense for it to have aged in that direction. It feels like it's a Benjamin Button bruise, like it's going,
yeah.
I don't know.
No, exactly. It looked worse than it's ever looked, and it was a week
And like
earlier.
I've
Like
I've had that kind of injury where and it's true that it looks less bad and then it looks much worse, but then like we should be in the healing phase now. We should be past
Right.
that, and we're not.
The bruising will continue until the media coverage improves. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So Andy was working for Colette at that time, right? And then he left, and it happened.
Is Colette still in existence? I haven't
Yeah,
seen
what-
that shit in a
what-
long time.
whatever
It
happened to
does
that?
Sandy
still
No
exist.
left. Yeah.
This is actually where like my experience
Claire
with
Lemon,
Claire Lemon, so cool. She
turf and
yeah,
chief.
her Ugh. Anyway, yeah, she blocked me when I quoted her at herself, which is so fun. This is like very typical Quillette behavior. But Andy worked there and then he stopped working there. And he says it's because he wanted to work on other projects. But it happened like right when that Portland Mercury piece came out that where the guy who was embedded with Patriot Prayer explained how Andy was like there the whole time and did nothing to stop it. So I don't know if it's related or not. Who can
Well,
say?
fortunately for him, there is a junk news website called the Post Millennial with very shady funding
was ready.
and some sort of base in Canada. And they were ready to pick him up and just let him write his weird 300-word articles in passive voice in which he refers to black people like they're breeds of dogs, like these crime stories where he's like sort of a black male, like, yeah. Post Millennial came next.
Yeah, I mean, it's the kind of thing I honestly would have thought Quillette would love, but I guess it's just like a touch too uncouth for them.
Yeah, they don't want to see the racism unless the calipers are out and you can start measuring some skulls.
Of the scientific type.
So it's
right.
So Andy, obsessed with the UK, he's writing for Australians, and then he goes to write for Canadians.
About us in America.
Yeah, gotta love it. And
Yeah.
why does he do this? Because they don't have any fucking publishing standards, and it's like a defamation lawsuit is already a hard thing to do in the U.S. because of the First Amendment, and that's a good thing. I think that's great. An international defamation suit is so expensive that most people won't even think about it, right?
Yeah.
So he has to work for these international outlets because he's a lawsuit magnet at a U.S. one. That's my take. That's my theory on it.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he'll say whatever, man. He doesn't have a lot of barriers between him and saying whatever's most exciting.
There's no minimizing damage, right?
Right. So then after the expose happened, 4 days later, he put out an op-ed on The Spectator USA. Speaking of like just
British website, by the way.
Again, yeah. But it says USA, Jared.
Okay.
A British company. Yeah. So and it's called How I Became an Extremist Overnight. And he compared himself to the Covington students because like they made a face that was inconvenient and everybody like freaked out. And he was like, yes, that's what happened to me. It was cancel culture because I didn't frown enough while I was standing next to the Patriot Prayer guys who were plotting an assault. So yeah, he says, my smile has been taken as evidence of a sinister right-wing conspiracy. Again, really minimizing, right? Like all I did was
give me a break.
Smile down at my phone. I didn't do anything.
They hate it when I smile.
They just want to see me.
Dude. He's also a bad writer. I'm just gonna say that straight up.
No, it's fair. It's good.
He is such a lazy writer. I tried to read his book about Antifa and I just couldn't get through it. I was like, this sucks, and also I'm not learning anything. So
it's also like the most astonishing use of passive voice I've ever seen. It's just like, I was beaten, I was humiliated, I was like, you're like, this, you could make this so much more impactful, man. Can you just say like a guy like who looked like this hit me? It's like it's like everything is just like, he's just, it's passive. He's just at the center of the book getting hit with things, kind of waddling around like one of those targets at a carnival. That's the way the book is. I was beaten. Which is exactly, that's the same thing he did in front of Trump, which is just a list. Which is like, I was humiliated. Then they put liquid. They were laughing. Like, it's just, I mean, this leaden, dull. I mean, unbelievable that this actually has an audience, which I think at one point was probably, buoyed by a lot of AstroTurf stuff, because most of the agendas that these people want out there, the rich donors behind the conservative movement, they will pick people and kind of prop them up.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And they're not always the most sparkling personalities, as it turns out. Sorry, Andy. So yeah, he said, to go from being a victim of multiple assaults to suddenly accused of being the violent aggressor or complicit in the acts of others is the type of gaslighting I am used to by now. That's a good example of his sentence structure. Like, I don't know about that. And again, overstating the claims against him, right? Like, nobody said that he personally like orchestrated this thing or even like threw any punches. Trump famously called him like a guy who never hit or got hit. Like, I don't know. And that's back then. Like, we can't even use cognitive decline as an excuse. It's just how he felt, I guess. And so, like, I know that someone told Trump about Andy then. I just truly in my heart believe that he has no recollection of that.
He doesn't seem to really know a whole lot about what's going on about anything.
No.
Right.
Every time they ask him a question, he's like, yes, yeah, we're taking it really seriously. But have you seen the construction equipment outside? It's so cool.
How are you coping? Right. Or like at the round table, somebody asked like, well, are you considering suspending habeas corpus? And he's like, who's that?
Awesome. Or that story in the Wall Street Journal. Remember that True Social post where it's like, hey, Pam, listen, we got to start prosecuting people. And then it's like, the Wall Street Journal reported like Trump didn't know that wasn't a private message and was
Yeah, he
surprised to
really
learn
thought he
it
was
was
DMing her.
public. So it's
Yeah.
like, I love that the guy in charge of the world's most powerful military is just completely out to lunch. Like,
Right.
doesn't understand how his phone works.
No.
Well, if you bring up the round table again,
Love to.
in the middle of that, Jack Posobiec, and it is a potentially scary thing because it could be used in very threatening ways to random people who are activists in this country. But Posobiec is out there just yelling from the, you need to give Antifa a foreign terrorist
Mhm.
designation. You need to give it a foreign now they've already declared Antifa a domestic terrorist organization twice, right? So we
Right.
know it's meaningless.
There's no like legal framework
No.
to do that. But
Right.
if you claim it's a foreign terrorist
Yes.
organization,
That
you
is
get
something.
you get all kinds of spying powers. You don't
Yes.
have to like, if they're a foreign organization, constitutional protections don't apply, and it is like gangbusters. You can do whatever the hell you want.
Yes.
Right.
So
But
Oh yeah,
what I
and
was saying
Andy
was
also
that Trump,
specifically said that too.
yeah, no, what I was saying was that Posobiec lobs this in there in the middle of it, and Trump, who's been sleepy the entire time, is like, huh? What did you say? Like, and it's like a foreign terrorist organization? Huh. I mean, we could do that. We can just call Marco. Well, you want to call? We can Marco.
Let's talk to Marco.
We'll figure. We'll just talk to my people. You know,
Yeah.
it's like he said it like he's like your uncle in Boca Raton
Right.
or whatever, and you're like, hey, can we go play laser tag, dude? Like, and he's like,
Yeah.
oh,
I was struck by
yeah,
that a couple of
why
times.
not? We can do that. We could do that on
Let
Saturday.
me call some guys. Yeah.
Why
After
don't-
I'm done
yeah,
with my
just
nap, we'll do that. So
check with Marco.
so yeah, I mean, I think that the sort of advantage with Trump in some ways is this, right?
Mhm.
It's scary. The situation is scary. He's entertaining these people who are, quite frankly, many of them are deranged. Many of them are flat out stupid.
Mhm.
So he's entertaining their point of view, and he is, just operating in the middle of a bunch of scandals, looking for a scapegoat about Antifa. It's potentially a recipe for disaster. But at the same time, Trump is so checked out. He's so he's so lazy, and it was just evidence of the fact that they don't have some sort of amazing chess match plan. Right, where you think like, oh, Stephen Miller is like, some sort of AI drawing of Stephen Miller, and he's just like, checkmate, like, I've got you. In reality, it's like they're not like, oh, then we'll make them a foreign terrorist organization, then we'll infiltrate this, and then we'll get them like this, and then instead it's like, hey, can we do this? And he's like, okay. I mean, I have
Sounds
no problem
fun.
with it, right? I mean, so I
Yeah.
mean, I think that's Trump is in many ways our best hope. It's
Oh,
just the
God.
fact that he's so checked out.
Just like their loose grip on him as like puppet masters. There's like no. Yeah, so Andy, before Jack ever said anything about this like foreign terror designation, Andy also said it, but as a testament to like how boring Andy was being, I don't think Trump clocked it at all. He just slept through it. And then like Jack said it and he was like, huh? But he kept doing this thing where somebody like Andy or Katie or whoever would say like, oh, I got beaten by this person, or I caught somebody burning a flag or whatever. And Trump would be like, did you get their name? Do you know who they are? Because you can just give it to Pam. And it's like, is this a high school administration? Like, what's
Right.
happening? Just give it. Do you have the flag? Just give it to Pam or Cash or somebody. And he didn't even know who.
Pam will add you to the group chat. Pam, can you add them to the group chat? Can you
Yeah,
just get
put
in?
him on
But give her a number. She'll add you to the group chat.
Yeah, it's like a weird dynamic that I'm not used to with the president, to just be like, oh, did something bad happen to you? Can you like write it down and just give it to Pam and she'll take care of it? Like, what do you mean? Anyway, what else? Oh yeah, there's one more Andy incident, which is 2021, May 28th, 2021. This is the one that it's his pinned post on Twitter. It's the thing he was trying to summarize while Trump was napping. It is like, it's the opening the introduction of his book, Unmasked, which is about Antifa. It is it's a short story. Again, I watched the footage. It's harrowing, right? It's him like running through the streets, trying to get away from people who clearly want to beat him up. And he takes shelter inside of this hotel lobby called the Nines, and they keep him in there while he waits for like an ambulance to show up. While the people that are outside are like trying to get through the doors to get at him, and one of them is using his shoulder to like try to break the window to get in at him, which did not work, and that was a little bit funny because the guy just like bounces off the window. But the guy, let's see, Andy says he got injuries to his left leg, right hand, hip, and a burst blood vessel in his eye. His description is: on May 28th, 2021, I ran for my life through the streets of downtown Portland, Oregon. Antifa had discovered me working undercover after one of their members, John Hacker, exposed me to the mob. And John is one of the people that he named in his lawsuit later, which he did not win.
Yeah.
I screamed for help as I fled, but drivers and pedestrians looked away. The businesses were all shuttered, and remnants of the ongoing destruction from the 2020 BLM Antifa riots. There was nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. They caught me. Antifa tackled me to the ground, tearing my knee tendon in the process as I slid across the pavement. This is a little exciting. I don't know. They punched me over and over and tried to choke me out. And see, that's where Trump woke up. He said, they did what? Choking. I barely managed to stumble into the Nines hotel, begging the staff to call 911. Instead, they tried to force me back outside and told me to wear a COVID mask. I dropped to the floor, refusing to move, pleading for them to call the police. They refused. I don't know that any of that is really true.
I mean, I'm sure very little of it is true. I don't believe anything Andy says. I just want to say that, like,
Yeah.
my default is just to not believe him. I think he is a dishonest man at his core. He is a liar. So, when you hear this stuff, yeah, I'm sure, like, something happened to him for sure, but they tried to make me wear a COVID mask. He's conflating.
Are you kidding?
He's pandering to the fucking boomer rubes in his base.
Right.
And he's trying to say, like, it's like, hey, I know you don't like that COVID mask. Well, they just tried to do it. They tried to make me reopen in the street.
If this story is true, the way he tells it, it's probably what I can imagine is not a COVID mask of like, oh, excuse me, sir, you got to mask up, get out of here. Like, if this is all happening prior to this, the way he's describing, they see a man getting chased by a mob, run into the lobby of their hotel, and what I can't imagine is some employee being like, oh, hell no.
Not in my, yeah, not at my place of work.
They grabbed me. They stopped me from reopening my business. They made me stand 6 feet apart from someone else.
They threw me on the ground and put a COVID booster in my ass.
They told me I had to wash my groceries. No. Yeah. So yeah, that is, after that, he kind of left Portland and either rarely or did not ever come back. He tried to do a lawsuit. He sought $900,000 from a bunch of people, but like he tried to sue like Rose City Antifa, which they were like, there's no evidence that anybody from there was involved.
Good luck.
Yeah, like they're just
also anti-fascist groups, when they do exist, we all know that they've got money. And you can really
well funded. That's been a big thing, right, Jared? They talk about like
really collect some cash,
Right.
They keep talking about like we're going to get into the funding networks, and they're during the roundtable we're not unable to explain what the hell they were talking about. They just kind of brushed over it because like. Yeah. What funding networks?
Exactly.
It's like some guy named Dave who works at Starbucks and like goes out at night in a hoodie. Like, I mean, you're not going to get that much money.
It's like a couple of guys who are good with computers. Like,
yeah, it's a group chat where it's like, hey, we're going to go to Kinko's and print some posters. Does anyone have like $25?
And they have to pool it between them. Like, it's not one guy who has $25 either.
Yeah, it's just like, it's a lot of I think a lot of these influencers like cannot imagine that the people they hate are not similarly plugged into a well-financed oiled machine the way
Yeah.
that they are. So like at this Antifa roundtable, quick Google search, easy to check. 8 of the 12 people that participated, their careers either started or are currently Turning Point USA.
Right.
Yeah.
One of the wealthiest conservative groups in the game right now. Giant
Right.
network, so many
I
resources.
just want to say, Jared, wealthy for now. We'll see what they're like
Yeah.
without Charlie Kirk running them.
For now,
wealthy
yeah.
for now.
Yeah.
No, Erica's gonna handle it. She's gonna take care of them. It's gonna be
With
just
those
fine.
unreleased Charlie mixtapes, she's trying to
Jeez.
hawk.
Is that the new thing? Oh boy.
Dude, Mark prediction, exclusive prediction, Jared Holt
Okay.
prediction for this
Here
podcast.
we go.
Put it on the board.
By the end of the year, some conservative event will do a Charlie Kirk hologram. Like Tupac at
Like
Coachella
Tupac,
that one year.
Right.
That's too easy. Your payout's gonna be so low. that is too easy.
Guaranteed. But we've written it down. So
I'll give a prediction
yeah.
also, which is that TPUSA is going to be a shell of itself in 5 to 10 years.
What do you
Yeah.
mean? You don't think that little white fella
Holly
who was
Hands?
on the plane? Yeah, you don't think that
Rylan?
he's the next one?
Say what you will about Charlie Kirk, and there's a lot of things we could say. We did a whole episode about him. He really did know how to raise money, and he really did have his pulse on what could be marketable to people with money. He was really, really that, and he was also a relentless worker, working for a horrible cause, but he was a hardworking grifter, and it was enriching him in a way that is, truly astounding.
Yeah. Charlie was really focused on building the project, which involved building himself up. But the other people in his orbit are focused on building themselves.
Yeah, and Erica, self-described focus on being a mother and these things is not really the type of person who is particularly used to going out glad handing, raising money, right? I mean, she was a person who was on. I know we're getting off topic, but she was a person who was like on reality TV trying to make it as like a kind of a Christian right-wing influencer, but not necessarily somebody who could go out and raise these big sums of money, or in fact influence an election, which I think TPUSA is an underrated factor in helping Trump in 2024. So I just don't, these roundtable type things that as Jared pointed out have been heavily influenced by TPUSA. We're still in the aftershocks of their peak.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that's very fair. I think that's a good prediction too. Because all of these guys who are like trying to be like, I'll step into Charlie's shoes. A lot of times, even the TPUSA audience is like, not you. Like a lot of them are having a hard time getting any traction.
Please make Jack Posobiec the face of that organization for the left. It would be like a gift.
It's so easy. It's so easy. Okay. So that whole at this point, we're gonna wrap up in a minute. I just wanted to bring it to the present in terms of what's happening at the Portland ICE facility, because at the roundtable event, I heard a lot of stuff, and all of that stuff was false. And you can usually tell when something's obviously false when it directly contradicts itself. So like they keep being like, here's evidence that Antifa is so violent and so bad. There have been like 60 arrests since the beginning of the protests. And then in the next sentence, Katie Daviscourt will be like, they don't even let police anywhere near there. Like police don't even go. They have like several city blocks that police aren't even allowed. They've ceded the ground to Antifa. And it's like, you can see the videos. The police are there. They're standing in front of the building. You can see the building and the police because every night they are there.
And if it seems like the police aren't doing anything, It is because protesting the government is a sacred right in this country.
Yeah, it's actually allowed.
And if they do not have evidence of a crime, they're not gonna fucking like these people would not be satisfied unless the Portland Police Department lined up all these protesters in a line and just started shooting them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think they would still call the police Antifa at that
Right,
point.
because they didn't shoot all of them. So that anti-fascist frog still walks the earth.
Well, let me ask you folks, like, what's it like on the ground in Portland? I get this is my impression. It'd be useful to hear what you have to say about it. But my impression is that they are not getting the return on investment that they wanted. I think, that they could claim a sort of very hedged marginal W in Washington, D.C., in the sense that Muriel Bowser caved and basically said that they helped, which was a true embarrassment. But in Chicago, I just sent Jared a video of this boomer saying all kinds of nasty things about Kristi Noem in a very Chicago accent. I get the impression that people are like really disgusted by what's happened. Even Nick Fuentes was on a stream or something recently and said that he felt like that it was creating too much, bad will, in the public.
Yeah.
And I think that they, you tell me, but my impression is that they wanted to go to Portland to try to, just relitigate, to re-dramatize, stage again what happened in the summer of 2020, where it got progressively more and more intense and really started from the George Floyd moment and built consistently. And there were all kinds of things. I think July 4th, there was a huge action with a lot of property destroyed and stuff. And this went on until September, when ultimately Michael Ranhol was assassinated by U.S. Marshals, or appears to have been. Okay, I should just say it appears to have been an extrajudicial killing, based upon what we know. I mean, what is your impression? Because my impression is what we saw at the round table is the best that they got. The best they got is Katie Davenport with possibly extra makeup over her eye. You got Nick Sordor, who
he fell in a hole.
He's as likable as a herpes diagnosis. My impression is that you just don't have the juice that they would want there, that people are not giving them enough. Right. They're still showing up, which is annoying for them, but they're not getting enough.
Yeah. So I think what happened is that Portland anti-fascists learned a lot in the last 5 years and have been really invested in keeping things as low key as possible. And that is definitely playing out at the ICE facility, where the number one activity is sort of shuffling and milling. Like it's truly, it's not a huge group of people. If anything happens in the news, like Trump makes a lot of noise about National Guard, then a bunch more people show up, but it is still the same general vibe, which is like, here we are, like we don't like it, so here's our bodies. And like a lot of the time, the ICE facility is on a street that leads into like an on-ramp for 84. And so that's where like the cars go in and out of the driveway. So what'll happen is people can like hang out in front of the driveway until an announcement comes out on the speaker that says like, the cars are coming, move out of the way. And then a bunch of dudes in like camo and vests and helmets and stuff will come out in a formation, and they'll create like a lane for the cars to move. And like everybody moves. Everybody just sort of goes like, okay, here we go. And they move out of the way and they let that happen. And then they go back. And like nobody really crosses. There's like a blue painted line that you're not supposed to cross. Nobody crosses it. If anybody does anything like picks their nose weird or whatever, they'll do another announcement. They'll send out their little phalanx of guys and they'll grab that person, like 5 men to like a protester and like, wrestle them into the building and then hold them there for a while. And like, that happens a couple times a night, really. And that's about it. And that even kind of got toned down because when Kristi Noem came, they put caution tape on the whole block. So nobody can even go near the ICE facility. so literally nothing happens now. And I think she kind of shot herself in the foot on that one, because by having them cordon it off, it looked even less exciting than it usually does.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, just all the hype about Portland is just so massively overblown. Even when I've been there to report on like really contentious and rowdy street protests, I mean, we're not talking about a whole lot of people, and we're talking about 2 or 3 city blocks. You know,
Yeah.
it's so it's so ridiculous.
It's
Like,
never taken up more space than a couple city blocks. So like when they say the whole thing is boarded up, the whole thing is burnt down, it just doesn't even make any sense, because there's not enough people for it to take up that much space.
right?
Well, they say the same stuff here. I mean, I'm in Illinois, about 3 hours away from Chicago. We're down in Springfield, and it's the same thing. It's Chicago is the worst place you can go to until you go there for like some pizza and some meat pies, and it's like a wonderful holiday. No
Yeah,
big
yeah.
deal.
I live in Chicago, and whenever people are like, whenever I hear conservatives being like, "Oh man, the crime's so crazy," I just think, I don't want you to come here. And so I go, yeah, it's something you got to
Maybe it's
deal
too
with.
risky
And
for you. Yeah. Maybe stay
Good move.
home.
Yeah, don't come here.
but Chicago's a tough city. I mean, people are really fucking pushing back on the
Yeah.
feds here pretty
Yeah,
aggressively.
they've gone really hard. It's
I'm
maybe easier
waiting
to get footage from them.
as a New Yorker. We're all just waiting for, if Mamdani wins, then that's when they're going to send the troops in. I think that's going to be
Yeah.
enough.
Yeah.
That's going to be enough for Trump. He's going to have he's going to have a cardiac
Gotta
arrest. He'll
take
have
them
like
in.
flashbacks of the Central Park Five. He just can't. He just got to do something.
Yeah.
This person is too brown
Yeah.
and too critical of Trumpism.
I'm from New York originally, and I mean, I have family members who are like calling me like, "What is going on?" And I'm like, "Take a deep breath. Like things are not bad. Just because Fox News is telling you that he's a communist, you need to take a deep breath and just conceive of how like other nations also have social welfare
Mhm.
programs, and that it works out pretty well for them.
Fox News made a mistake by calling it like Chuck Schumer a communist too. So now it has no meaning. So that
Right.
it's sort of the boy who cried wolf, where it's like Mamdani
Right.
is like genuinely
He's-
left wing, and they're like, wait, like I thought you just said Chuck Schumer was a
What
communist.
do we even call him? Yeah. Also, okay, so about Portland too, I just want to really hammer home that the ice facility is not downtown. Like that also feels like people keep conflating the two, and it's like
That's useful information
why-
for me. That's a useful data point.
Yeah, no, that's right, because it is really, there's like an apartment building and a bunch of warehouses and like an after school program in the close vicinity. And like, yeah, downtown is several blocks north of where this ice facility is. Like, it just like, it's not even the same place. Like some protests were happening there in 2020, but that's it. Like Governor Square is not there. Like nothing is there. Even the waterfront, like you have to walk. They did a thing from the waterfront where they like walked across the bridge and went down, and that was the wildest day because it was the day that had the most people. But they had to really hoof it over to the ice facility. It's just not the same place. So yeah, I want to thank you guys for helping us make sense of this and just like, I don't know, help us decompress, because that was a rough watch, that roundtable yesterday. Katie in particular, like every word out of her mouth, I was like, well, that doesn't even make any sense. Like, I can't even connect that to reality.
Yeah,
Well,
none of these people are like particularly good at this either. It's they're all over the place. None of them can really withstand very much scrutiny. So it's, yeah, I mean, one way to look at it is like, man, this is scary, that they're just leaning into this. And then the other way to look at this is like, man, they're down bad. They're trying to make a national security argument, and who do they have? Katie Davis Court and Andy Ngo.
Yeah.
Yikes.
That's what I was going to say.
They couldn't find a single serious person to show up for them,
Right.
Yeah, I would say that there's no doubt that this situation is scary, and there's no doubt that this is fascism or the beginnings of it, however we want to do it. I mean, MAGA is a fascist movement, I think, full stop.
Yep.
But But I mean, look at the people that they have making the argument there. And I think also consider your most average guy, right? I know the centrist is kind of dead now. It's not really a thing. The sort of, independent swing voting centrist is kind of a bit of a, a myth or a fairy tale these days. But like, you're just your average guy who, is the little league dad, the mom from your neighborhood or whatever. I mean, what are they thinking when they look at Jack Posobiec? I mean, he is, if you think that MAGA right now is not popular, right, based upon polling, it's really dragged down. I mean, what would Jack Posobiec be below? I mean, so much below that, right? I mean, he's below Stephen Miller even. He looks mean, nasty, he's not exactly brilliant. And if you Google him for 5 seconds, you're going to find out that he's racist, that he's completely misogynistic, that he has a history of spinning lies, all over the place, lies that have nearly gotten people killed.
Yeah.
You got Andy his reputation. He may, he's dressed up like, like in his little outfit, like he's working in a hotel or whatever, and he's all ready to go, and he's trying to cry on camera. But you take a look at him, and it's like, well, maybe he's a little shady. Actually, he's a little bit fraudulent. They are playing to a base that could potentially be shrinking, and they don't have another clear avenue to elect Trump other than by illegal means that will be extraordinarily unpopular when it happens. So without Trump at the center of it, this is, I think, a really dying thing. And it's possible that on the way out, it gets much worse. But just see that round table and feel heartened.
Okay, I'll do my best. Well, I think that's it for us, right? Thank you so much for being here. This has been that show where they get some answers, and we will see you next time.
Thanks for listening to Half the Answer, presented by Liberal Currents. You can find Half the Answer anywhere you get your podcasts. Liberal Currents is an entirely listener and subscriber-funded publication, which includes programs like Half the Answer and Neon Liberalism. So, if you like what you've heard and wish to contribute, you may do so at liberalcurrents.com and through Patreon. And remember, understanding a question is half the answer.